Labda kwa kuanza kikao chetu, labda nianze tu kwa utangulizi, lakini pia kwa kuweza kujitambulisha. Mimi nayeongea kwa majina naitwa Mr. Robert Komba, ni mfanyakazi kutoka Dimitra Technology, lakini pia niko na wenzangu ambao pia na wenyewe wataweza kujitambulisha. Lakini pia labda kabla ya wao hawajaweza kujitambulisha, niweze kukushukuru kaka Kajiru kwa kuweza kupokea mwaliko wetu, kwa sababu tulikuwa tumekuomba siku ya leo tuweze kufanya kikao. Japo ile siku ilikuwa kidogo palikuwa busy, lakini leo naamini tumepata muda. Kwa hiyo naamini tutautumia muda wetu vizuri ili kuweza kuendelea na kikao chetu na kuelewa nini tumekuja nacho. Lakini pia niko na mwenzangu anaitwa Admire, lakini pia yeye atachukua nafasi hii pia kuwatambulisha wale ambao wako wanatusikiliza. Mr. Admire, welcome. Maybe to introduce yourself also, maybe you can introduce the others so as we go direct to what we have today. You are welcome.
Okay. Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm really glad to be part of this meet. My name is Admire Chamisa. I'm Zimbabwean by birth, but I've been here in Tanzania, I think, since 2011. And I'm really grateful for this meeting. I'm country sales partner for Dimitra. I will take this opportunity to give every other member to introduce themselves. We are a team of 4 here, so each and everyone would actually introduce themselves. Then we can proceed from there. So I would start with Mr. Andreas. You can introduce yourself.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Kajiru, Robert, Admire. I'm happy to be here. I am the Chief Commercial Officer of Dimitra. That means I'm responsible for everything that has to do with our dear customers, be it the sales or the implementation of our technology. That's my resort, and our team represented here is Sharif Bedwi, our Director of Sales Enablement, and Jan Wernicke, who is not only our Director and Partner in Europe, of Dimitra Europe, but he's also a 30+ year experienced person in coffee and cocoa and other commodities. So when we have questions about the flow of coffee, cocoa, or our commodities, we can always go to Jan, and he is working not only with us on the commercial side, but also with our development team to improve our system to really be functioning well for your coffee farmers. That's what Jan has been working on with his knowledge of Tanzania and the whole African continent. He can give us a lot of insights that, well, me sitting in Berlin in Germany, I can only read about this, but Jan actually has experienced it over the years many times. So why is this so important for us? Because we want to work with our customers, with our farmers, with our partners in different governments, because that's the only way we can inspire you and your farmers to take this digital next step. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm excited to have this meeting with you, and looking forward to all your questions and how we can support you in getting a better understanding of how to use digital tools, not only to collect data, but also to manage it and govern it for those that might not know how to do this. Yes, thank you so much. I pass it on as a quick intro for Jan, and then we hear Sharif.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andreas. So I'm Jan Wernicke. I basically came the first time to Tanzania 1982, where I have wonderful memories to the bottoms of Mount Kilimanjaro and to the Moshi auction, and several nice national parks I have seen there, and actually where I first met Alan Dorman, which was a great moment for me because she taught me cupping coffee and about what it means to have different grades. And my biggest interaction was actually between 2012 and 18, when I was the commercial head of export trading group, and we were exporting a lot from Tanzania in terms of coffee, and bought a lot of Robusta coffee from Tanzania to ship it internationally. And I'm happy to be always in the back if it comes to any kind of commodity question or logistic question or even quality discussion. And I met during that time, that was when I first met Primoz Kimajo and became friend with him through our friend or my ex-colleague Pranav in Arusha, who's a good friend of Primoz as well. And I hope to see him. But I understood that he is very busy today and has unfortunately no time to join this call. But, yeah. So thank you very much for that. Good luck for that. I will step out of this call later on because I have 2 other calls going on, but I wanted, or Andreas wanted, that I at least say hello, that the Tanzanian Coffee Board is aware that there is a coffee expert in the background for you. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you, Jan, and thanks for stopping in. Sharif, go ahead. Who are you? What can we experience with you today?
Love it. Thank you. Thank you for that, Jan. Thank you, Andreas. So, Mr. Kajiro, I'm Sharif Bedawi, originally from Egypt. So I'm Sales Enablement Director here at Dimitra. I work with all of our colleagues around the world, primarily in the African continent, to get our coffee solutions rolled out with cooperatives, with governments. So I've been working with Dimitra here for the last 4 years, where we've rolled out many projects in some of your neighboring countries like Ethiopia, where we're onboarding 1.2 million farmers, or 1.8 actually, in Kenya, where we're doing another very big project, which we'll talk about later as well, with another 1.2 million farmers. And hopefully we'll be working together in the future to get your team equipped on the system, help create some digital champions and digital thought leaders in your communities alongside the TCB and yourself. And yeah, so that's my role here, and everything to do with system implementation, training, and rollout. And I'm excited today to show you a little bit of that system as we get to it. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sharif. Yes, Mr. Kajiro, the demo of our system is what we want to show you today. Before we do, happy to hear your thoughts about what you expect from the call and what questions you might have already for us, so we can dive maybe deeper into the specifics that you want to understand about Dimitra.
Well, thank you. Maybe I also start by introducing myself. My name is Kajiro Francis, and I work as a director of operation and coffee development in Tanzania. And I'm also overseeing the implementation of EUDR activity in Tanzania, where my main focus is to work with all stakeholders to ensure that we collaborate and share best practice, and we ensure that we have a smooth implementation of the EUDR here in Tanzania. My initial understanding of Dimitri is that you are a digital technology company, that you are offering digital solutions for the EUDR compliance. And I'm expecting to because since the EUDR came along, we have met a number of companies which says or which suggest that they have solutions, simple solutions to support our effort for compliance. So I'm expecting to get a better. Today we'll hear maybe about the better technology and other technology which has ever hear about the UDR and the process of registering farmers, collecting information, and all other activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Kajiro. Thank you so much. Yes, we will try our best to give you a cohesive overview over what we do and how we approach this EUDR For us, it's always important not to look at just one issue that our customers are dealing with, but to provide a complete solution. What does that mean? Well, we want to truly partner with governments and farmers and cooperatives, because without tools that are helpful to you and your stakeholders in the chain, it will be very difficult for them or for us together to collect data and do that on a regular basis. Because if they're not truly involved in the system, meaning if the tools that are given from a software provider are not really giving value to the farmer or to the cooperative lead or to the trader or to the processor, if there is no value in the tool, then they will probably only use it once if you mandate, right? You've seen that before, where you maybe tried a new system and it sort of got going, but it didn't go all the way. So we're always looking at how can we create tools that are easy to use for everybody and that bring immediate value by sharing knowledge, for example, for the farmers, by making sure that we fully align with the process that the collection agent needs, so that they feel like the app is made for them. And that's what we do. Diving into all of that will be difficult today. So we're just going to tease some of the functionality of our mobile app, but show you how to govern that data, which is quite important. So quickly about us, we have a global reach, which with offices around the world and teams very active in the whole continent of Africa. Big focus on Indonesia currently, because the government has engaged us in doing their full digitization of agricultural supply chains. Also, a big project has started in Kenya. So we'll talk about that and our global reach. Lots of products that we have created over the years. On the right side, the green side, you see the farmer-facing applications in the mobile app, where you can already see we have distinguished between coffee and cocoa because, well, you know best, each supply chain is a little bit different. Although cocoa and coffee are very similar in their processing steps and in the chain, there are differences that need to be adapted in our system in order for it to work for the stakeholders on the ground. On the left-hand side, we have modules that we're working on either as functionality in the background, like Dimitra AI. So our own artificial intelligence is the backbone of any of our analysis tools, especially in this regard, of course, around EUDR when it comes to deforestation, but also in weather forecasting, in soil analysis, in yield prediction, in pest and disease detection. We use AI to help the farmers get more knowledge. An interesting module is our carbon certificate program, where we have now started 2 projects already, one in Mexico and one in Brazil, where we work with local farming communities to define and analyze their carbon certificates that they should earn, or that they do earn through their practices. And then we work with them to sell those carbon credits in the global market. So through a carbon credit national program, we're also developing with the government of Indonesia. We bring additional revenue, additional income to the farmers of Indonesia. And the same we will do with the coffee farmers in Kenya. So we take them the first step towards EUDR compliance, or having EUDR ready data available for their buyers. But as a next step, we already look at that same data and we say, oh, with this region of coffee farmers spanning across 20,000 hectares, we can already start designing a carbon certificate program and work towards more income for those farmers. And like I said, on a national level in Indonesia, we are doing that in coffee and cocoa, as well as in rubber, palm oil, and soy. And of course, we have some other tools available that we can talk about in the future. One particular one is Dimitra ESG, where that data transparency that the EU is currently pushing towards for deforestation also will come in ESG, meaning that the EU will require more data from the origin, and our tool or our platform already provides the tools to collect additional data to also be ESG compliant, depending on the standard that you want to achieve or the standards that the buyers of your commodities would like to achieve. Any questions so far, Kajiro?
Please go ahead. I will ask when you finish presenting.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, of course, we know why EUDR is important. You said you've already heard many different platforms present to you, and obviously you have studied the requirements, why and how to get ready for EUDR. The challenge that we have looked at, especially over the last year, is beyond EUDR. How can we empower an organization like yours, or the government of Indonesia, or the National Organization of Coffee Cooperative Unions in Kenya? How can we give functionality to govern all that data is collected now? So not only to have it ready to send for EUDR compliance, which Sharif is going to show us here in a minute, but also how can you, as a governing entity, have tools to improve coffee production and trade on a national level? Those are tools that we can also look at with you at a later point. But the main part about making that data visible that you might have in different formats right now, maybe in other softwares or even in an Excel spreadsheet or in a database from your existing program that you're using, we provide the tools to take all that data, bring it into one combined database, and organize it and analyze it and manage it the way that is required, not only for EUDR, but also future of carbon farming and the future of ESG. When it comes to coffee data collection and traceability, or creating traceability through data collection, I already mentioned earlier that we work in a way with each stakeholder by engaging them into the app. Here you see some screenshots, by giving them functionality around their own daily workflow. So that's not only farm registration, which we will look at in a minute, or collecting farming data, but also collecting the processing steps and data accompanying the processing of coffee, and also transaction tracking for the traders and exporters. So by doing so, the stakeholders in the chain are more inclined to actually work with us on that traceability, on collecting the data. Because traceability is not just a magic wand that a software can provide. It starts with people agreeing to use this system or any other system. That's where traceability starts, that all your stakeholders in country start using a system to collect that data or using a standard to collect data. And that's when traceability starts. And for us, that starts with giving those stakeholders the tools that they need for it to be valuable to them or to fit into their daily workflow. The easier it is for your stakeholders to work in our system, the better for us. And we've been now working with coffee cooperatives for over 4 years. I think Sharif joined Dimitra 4.5 years ago, and we already started in coffee back then. And now with Jan Wernicke having joined us 2 years ago, we refined the system even more, especially when it comes to tracing the steps from origin to destination and what is required. Yes, and talking about digital governance is one important aspect that I would like to talk to you about today, and maybe also in the questions and answers segment after our presentation. But in short, digital governance pretty much starts with making sure that you have a national approach, right? For you to make a decision on which system should you be using or should your farmers be using in Tanzania to make it a cohesive system. And that starts with reliable data collection, which I just talked about. How to do that? Well, besides our technology, we have a training curriculum, which also Sharif has developed with our teams across the globe, where we create digital champions in your environments, in your coffee unions, to make sure that we don't only go and collect data. No, we want total engagement from these communities. And the only way and the most successful way, we've tried many different ones, is to actually transfer a lot of our knowledge to people on the ground, to young professionals that are looking to make their way into coffee, or female leaders that also want to be involved but haven't found the in. And here we find a lot of young people volunteering to become digital champions for their community. And that creates a whole lot of excitement over the opportunities, because obviously if a young participant from your own organization gets excited about Dimitra's technology, it's much more effective than when I call in from Berlin and tell you to get excited. I might get excited, but that won't get any farmer excited, I'm sure. So it is truly our approach to empowering your people, because only if those communities get empowered can we get this done, because it's quite a lot of work to collect all that data, and it's quite a lot of work to also collect accurate and consistent data. So the sooner we can move the digital champions into a position of responsibility, which they're gladly taking those positions, the sooner we can ensure that accurate and consistent data is being collected. That's how we do it. That's where it all starts. But what to do with the data? How do you get a chance and your government get a chance to manage and protect that data, right? It's sitting somewhere right now in different Excel spreadsheets and different databases. Some big exporters, I'm sure, have collected lots of data, but you might be thinking, okay, but all that data, how can we get a hold of it, protect it for our farmers, because that's one of the major concerns of government and associations like yours. How do we protect that data ownership for our farmers? Because we sort of know that data is valuable, and we will explore with you how we can bring more value through data to your farmers and to your organization. But we need to protect it. We need to protect that ownership for the farmers. And then we might need to govern that data for the farmers, because lots of them might not take that leap of faith and that next step into a digital tool. So those digital champions that we're creating within the cooperative unions or the cooperatives, those are the ones that can then help you govern the data, meaning get everybody excited about the next step with the data, be it carbon credits or ESG, and make sure that you can get the community to agree to take those next steps by leading them. And we give you the transparency and the tools to do that, to manage and protect the data ownership, but also to see new opportunities that we can bring and discuss with you, and then make decisions for your industry and for your farmers. It is important to state at this point that Dimitra is only providing the tools, the environment, and the functionality around the data. The customer, in this case you, would be governing the ownership of that data, because the data is owned or belongs to your farmers. So it is of our most pressing priority that we govern that data for, or help you govern it for the farmers. Because we know in the digital realm, we will be able to create digital identities for the farmers, so that you know who are our farmers and how do they produce, right? In the next step. Yes, let's get ready for EUDR, but once we're ready, how can we use that data to up-level the productivity of our farmers in Tanzania? How can we use the knowledge, combined knowledge of coffee farmers in Tanzania and across the globe to help bring coffee farmers' productivity and output to a better or higher standard? That's digital transparency that will give you the insights where to do what, which region might need more urgent attention, and how do we improve it across the board. Those are the main areas of digital governance that we work with governments and associations like yours on. How do we collect reliably to get over this first painful hump of EUDR compliance on a national scale? And how do we revisit that data every day to ensure that we can make good decisions for our people? And in order to do that, we sort of simulated some of the operational stakeholders in your chain. In this graph, just using a pyramid to show the different user levels that are required on a software environment as well, in order to govern that data. So where you might need only the top admin rights, and the cooperative unions and affiliates, factories, and farmers get different data rights and accessibility. So to talk about the details of this, what we're doing with our customers is that we have sessions with your technical team and our technical team to establish that. What are the current flows of information that are required to get the coffee traceable from farm to export? And what are you currently seeing in the industry so that we can ensure that all the stakeholders in the chain see their data and any other data that you might require different organizations and different users to see. How does that look, you might ask? Well, on a day-to-day basis, you might be sitting or turning on your computer, and in the morning you get a screen like this. Now, that's a dashboard that we created for the government of Indonesia, for NACU here, the National Coffee Cooperative Union in Kenya. And Kevin, our director of Kenya, just joined us a few minutes ago. So Kevin, why don't you introduce yourself to Kajiru here briefly and tell us what we're seeing in your dashboard here.
Hello, Andreas. Hello, team. How are you? So I'd like to say hi. I'm Mr. Kajiru, Mr. Robert, from Kenya, Nairobi. Actually, no, we're in Kirinyaga today. What we are doing is we are continuing the engagement with the National Coffee Union. So this is part of the engagement that we are doing in Kenya. And this particular, what Andreas is talking about, this particular dashboard is essential because what we've realized is that the data that is being provided, or rather that we are collecting, that we're helping also TCB to also collect, helps not only just making decisions on the high level, but it also helps in planning. What we have experienced and we are continuing to experience here in Kenya is that the unions, yes, although they do have some of the information, it's incomplete. As Andreas has talked about, every stakeholder requires to have their own data information, and we are starting to see real time how important that is because of, one, the misinformation that might arise from the supply chain, and using this data to be able to ensure that any decision that is being made or is going to be made is made from a data point of view. And that is notwithstanding the opportunities that we are looking at, which is beyond carbon credit and also EUDR and ESG. I won't get into detail about it. I just wanted to say Jambo, join in real quick, and also to also welcome you to the Dimitra family, which the work that Admire and team are doing in Tanzania. We really hope that you'll be able to see the value in which that you're providing, and also be able to realize how you'll be able to empower your farmers by having their own information with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And yes, Kajiru, hopefully we can create many digital champions and leaders like Kevin is and has grown into with together with our team to lead a whole nation, not only in coffee, but now we're talking to the government in Kenya about other commodities. We're talking to the tea community as well.
And the avocado and also the maize community as well.
Yes, yes. So whenever you have questions, Kevin can answer from the field, actually, as we realize now. So lots more to talk about, but before we go further with slides, I want actually to encourage you to ask a couple of questions, and then Sharif will take on the screen to show us the application, because I think should be the start of any meeting, but I wanted to give you a little bit of background before that. Kajiru, do you have any questions at this point?
Yes, I do. I do one. Maybe with this your data collection tool, do you have a specific digital tools you are using to collect data, or you are just using the normal Androids and other type of phones?
No, we just use Android phones. So it's an Android app that Sharif is going to show us now that is used to collect that data. at the same time, we can upload existing data, so from Excel spreadsheets or other databases that you might have, where you've already collected data, we can upload that in bulk, meaning the whole set can be uploaded into our system.
Okay, one of the in Tanzania, what we are doing, because the UDR talk about collecting geolocations, but in Tanzania we have decided to collect the polygon, regardless of the size of the farms, because at the end we want to understand the area which is grown on coffee at the end of the collection registration process. Is your application able to do that?
The answer is yes, and I have to congratulate you on collecting polygons on all farms, because yes, EUDR is not requiring that, but it's a very important step, not only for your governance of the data, but for the carbon credit program in the future, to analyze more efficiently and more directly when it comes to soil health or weather or pest and disease control. So that's a very good step that you've taken there. And Sharif, why don't you take us through the onboarding process or farm registration and DDS process? Kajiru, but feel free to ask further questions as we go through this. This should be a conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, let us do that indeed. So I'm going to share my phone screen. We'll start here. If anyone is having trouble seeing my phone screen, just let me know. Switch off my camera also. I'm having some bandwidth issues. But yes, Mr. Kajiru, like you mentioned, I'm on my Android phone right now. It's a very basic Android phone, nothing fancy. The app operates on Android from even some older versions, starting from version 10. So there's a wide variety of hardware that you could use with this. But I'll get started, and as we go through this, feel free to jump in and ask any questions or make any comments. What I'm going to show is, well, as you can see here, there's a lot that we do for coffee. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on one flow, which is collecting data from the field and then creating a due diligence statement using that exact data. Now, you mentioned you've already collected a lot of data, or all the data. So you can upload it and start the process from the second half of this, but we'll start from the very beginning where we are collecting some data. So I'm going to click on this button here that says My Farm. And from here, I am going to go to the farm registration module. And here, Kajiru, you're going to see that I have a lot of farms registered. So I'm right now, I'm a data collector. I'm an enumerator working for one of the cooperatives in Tanzania, and I can manage many farms or collect many farms at once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to register a new farm in Minga, and I'm going to do that by adding just a few pieces of data. The data we're going to focus on is the one relevant to EUDR. So you can get more, but we're just going to focus on the EUDR relevant data. Now, since I'm a data collector, I'm going to select that I'm not the farmer, and I'm going to start filling out the farmer's name information. So let's say, Kajiru, that this is your coffee farm. So we're going to call this Kajiru Coffee. Next, I'm going to give the farm a registration ID. So this could be the TCB's ID. This could be the cooperative. Then I'm going to fill out the farmer's information. You have, of course, their first name, last name, and middle name if it's applicable. Then the farmer's registration ID. So it may be that every farmer has a registration with the TCB. And here you can put in that ID. And next I'm going to, let me just take a step back again, click on farm location address. And here is where I get the exact farm's geolocation. Now, Kajiru, I'm not in Tanzania, so I don't have any coffee farms around me. However, I can register a farm remotely. So normally your data collectors, the best thing is if they're on the farm, so that way they could speak to the farmer and get the exact area. But even if they're not on the farm, you could still collect that data remotely. So I saved a GPS coordinate that I'm going to write down. So of course, people don't memorize, well, I don't know anyone who memorized GPS coordinates, so you can search with the address also. But I'm just going to jump straight to a specific GPS coordinate to find us a farm in Mbinga. I'm going to click on search, and it's going to take us to a nice coffee farm in Mbinga. So here I'm going to select this farm. This is going to be my address, or sorry, my GPS coordinates. And by the way, Kajiro, it's important to mention here as well that you can do this offline. So you're going to have some areas where the connection is not the best, or maybe there's no connection. So you can even do this offline. When the data collector goes to visit, they can do this offline and save that GPS coordinate. Next, of course, I have my country, my province. I'm going to put in the town's name. And then lastly, you're going to get the geofence. So as you know, you have some farms over 4 hectares, some under 4 hectares. The ones that are under 4 hectares, you don't need a full polygon. You can just use this circular option. But we're going to go ahead and use a full polygon. And you can't see how I'm interacting with my phone, but all I'm doing here, Kojiro, is I'm just clicking on the screen to get the boundaries of my farm. So every point that I click on the screen, or every time I click on the screen, I get a new GPS point that I can use to get the exact boundaries of this farm. And that's exactly what I did here. So I collected this farm data. We're going to click. Actually, let's make this hectares. We all use hectares, I believe. I'm going to use this 4.8 hectare farm and click done. And now I've gathered all the data that I need to make a due diligence statement for this farm. Of course, you go beyond that as well. There's a lot of other information that you can gather that maybe if you want to get more data on the farms, like the trees or any other information, you can. We have additional details. But we're just going to focus on this part right here where we're gathering the name, ID, and geolocation for the EUDR compliance. I'm going to save this and I'm going to go to the next step, which is actually making that report. But before I do that, Kajiro, do you have any questions or comments so far?
Please go ahead.
So I actually have 2 farms here in Mbinga. One I made earlier today called Mbinga 1, and this other one that we just put together, Kajiru Coffee. So I'm going to close my phone screen and go into the web admin. And here is where as an admin, so the TCB, the cooperatives, the unions, whoever is going to be responsible for managing the data and making the due diligence statements or the EUDR reports, this is where all of that data lives. So you can see here, you can administer and manage all your farms out in Tanzania. You can see where they're all registered and get reports on them. But what we're going to do right now is I'm going to be an administrator or a compliance officer at the TCB who is making some due diligence statements. So we're going to do that by first starting off in this module where we click on create a new report. Now this is a 6-step process, Kajiro. It's a very simple 6-step process where we start by setting up the parameters of the report, the details of the report, which means who is this report going to, which country is the shipment going to, what reports are we putting in the statement. So we're going to start off by selecting our operator, and this is an operator in the EU, so this is a buyer in the EU. We're just going to keep this simple, and we're going to say this is going to a buyer in Germany, which is where I believe most of Tanzania's coffee is going. So we set up here the operator. You put your internal reference number. So this is your TCB reference number. It could be an auction number, whichever number you'd like to use to reference the statement. We then select that it's an export activity. We're going to define where this is going to. So we said we're going to be selling to a German buyer, so this is going to Germany. You can also use this to track your shipments as well. So I can put a container ID number over here, which we'll just put a random number. We then pick our product, so we can pick coffee. And we're going to put in the shipment weight. Oh, sorry, I put a big one there. Let's say this is 18,000 kilograms. You can also add some additional information, by the way, if you want to, Kajiru. So like if you want to put in the type of coffee. So for example, I know that there's a popular variety NP39, so bourbon NP39. So you could put in some additional data you want around the shipment as well here. Next, we're going to select our assessments. So we're first going to pick our country, which is Tanzania. Then we're going to have our deforestation report. So the system is going to check three things for you. It's going to check the deforestation report. It's going to check if the farms are complying with the regional assessment. So it means it's not in a protected area. And then also you can use the system to double check also the local law. So as you know, the farms also have to comply with the local law. For example, if you need like land titles, if you need certain certificates or licenses, you can add that as well for the farmers to put that information or for your team to put that information. And now that we have all of the details of the report set up, we know which buyer this is going to, we know what rules we're putting on here. So I want to see the deforestation and the local law. Now we're going to go next to start picking out the farmers that are part of this shipment. So remember, this is a shipment I'm putting together. And now I have to pick which farms this shipment is coming from. There are a few ways you can do that. So you said you have already data collected. So you can take that existing data and upload it into the system where you can pick the farms for the due diligence. And by the way, you only need to upload the farms one time. After that, you can reuse those same farms again for future statements. Like I'm going to do here, which is the other way of selecting the farms, by taking the farms that are already in the system that we've uploaded. So we're going to pick two farms here that we have in Mbinga. We're going to pick Kajiro Coffee, which we just registered. And we're going to pick another one, which I registered this morning, called Mbinga 1. You can pick as many farms as needed for the shipment, by the way. So if you have 200 farms in the shipment, you can pick them all the same way by searching for them and selecting them, or uploading them as I showed in the previous step. Now that we know which farms the coffee is coming from, so we did the first step by registering the farmers. Now we know which farms the coffee will be coming from. We're going to take a look at, in this step, where we can verify our geofences. So we have two farms registered. I'm going to zoom into one of them, excuse me. I've only put in one farm here. Let me just add the second farm very quickly. And like I mentioned, you can add however many farms you need. So we're going to take these two. And we're going to go here to the second step where you can verify the geofences. So this is one of the farms that we registered as well. And when we're happy with it, we're going to go next. So just for consistency's sake, I think my data didn't fully synchronize, so we're only using one farm here. But now in the fourth step, Kajiro, we see that our one of the farm that we selected has 0 deforestation, which is perfect. And if you have any farms that do have deforestation, by the way, the system will show it to you. It will show you where the deforestation is, when the deforestation happened, and you can start to work on mitigating that risk by either removing the farm from the shipment or picking it or proving that it wasn't actually deforestation. But we'll get into those details later. We're just going to look here to see that this farm, the most recent images show no deforestation. We're now going to go to the next step, which is part of the local law, to see if these farms have any overlap with protected areas or indigenous areas. We see here this farm doesn't have any of that. So we're going to go next. Now we're in our final part of the report, where we can see the summary of the report. We can see our product details. We see the farm that we just analyzed. We have also a declaration statement here, which you can customize. And now, if I'm happy with all of the report details and the analysis and the assessment of the report, I can conclude it, where it then saves a record for us on the blockchain and creates a report that you can now share to, or TCB or the exporter, depending on your process, can share it to the European buyer or with any other partners that you have that need to have the report as well. Here's an example. So this is a sample report. It's Dimitra branded, but we can see here QR codes that you can scan to go back to the blockchain verification or go back to the report. And we can see also the summary that we were just looking at, along with the deforestation status and the protected area status of our farm. And from here, we can send it directly to our buyer in Europe. Two more quick points I want to make here. One, Kajiro, the system is bilingual. So both the mobile app and the web admin are available in Kiswahili. So your team members can work in the local language. So that's available again for the web admin and the mobile app. And the second point I want to make as well is that it's in, just to highlight it, in relation to all the data that you've already collected. All of that can be fed and analyzed in the system. And you, as the TCB, when I say you here, I mean TCB or governing entity, can have a full view, which is the report Andreas was showing earlier, this one, where you can have a full view on everything that was just done. So all these reports that you create, you have a full view on a national level for all of that. And I'm going to stop here, and I'd like to, or we'd love to hear your thoughts, Mr. Kajiro. You know, you've seen a lot of systems. You see a sample of this flow. We'd love to hear your thoughts or questions if you have any.
Thank you very much, Sharif, for the presentation. We are excited and very impressed by your system. Maybe very few questions because Mr. Albert also joined me here. We are going to ask it together.
Yes, please.
My first question is, is it possible maybe to, because currently now we are collecting data. And what I'm seeing here, your system is also is going far, and you can do the risk assessment and produce the due diligence statement. What I'm asking is it possible maybe to upload the information we have and they upload it to your system. Then we do the process and do the assessment. At the end of the day, we get a risk assessment for our stakeholders.
Absolutely. So the short answer to that is yes. You can upload all of the data that you've already collected. We don't want you to recreate the wheel. You can upload it in different formats. So what we'll do with you as part of the process is we're going to take a look with you at your data, the format you've already collected it in, and then work with you on uploading it all at once, and then training your team to be able to upload any other data that's collected maybe from different sources. So yes, the short answer, Kajiru, is you can upload and use all of the data you've already put in the effort to collect. We've done that, by the way, or we're currently doing that as well in Indonesia. There's 2, 3, so there's about 5.5 million farmers where the data collection is a mix between collecting the way that I showed you, but most of those 5 million farmers are actually existing data being uploaded in these different formats. Oh, you're on mute, by the way, Kajiro, if you're saying something else.
Okay, I was wondering, is this when we said to get this application, is it come with all the other systems you have, like the carbon certificates program, or it comes in separate?
This is a very good question. It is one system. If you look at the basis of the system is always data. So when your farmers collect the right amount of data now, and like you said, you've already started with geofences for any farm size, going above and beyond what EUDR asks for. And we look at that data and say, okay, we're 85% ready for a carbon project. Here are the other requirements. And then we decide together with you how to work on those requirements, which union might lend itself best for a first pilot project in carbon so that we can start working on that. So it's always based on the data. That's the answer to that. And the functionality will be added, of course, through either an app or the functionality in the dashboard. And it depends on how we design our collaboration together. You have all access now and in the future to any additional modules that we provide. It's one system where you can say, okay, I want to add this model now. Let's start with EUDR. And in the summer of 2026, we start with the first carbon project or with ESG.
Wow, thank you. That's very impressive. And I was wondering when we are collecting data here, we are having a challenge of when we are collecting the geopoints, the challenge of error. Sometimes it goes to more than 5 meters. And I was wondering how your system is strong enough to reduce the size of the error.
I didn't quite understand that. The size of the area or
Not
the resolution?
Error. Not area, I mean error.
Yes, Admire.
Yeah, maybe to elaborate, you know, when someone is creating a polygon, he's actually saying they encounter errors when they are actually creating the polygon. Yes. So the answer to that is it's about digital champions. Like we teach the digital champions on how to create precise polygons.
Let's maybe Sharif, can you go back to farm registration and that polygon view in your phone?
Yeah, of course.
So first of all, we are providing these tools also in the offline mode. So sometimes the errors are made due to the fact that they have no connectivity. But our tool is so robust that even in offline mode, we can see what Sharif is sharing now. Even in offline mode, we can have this intuitive way of pointing at the farm boundaries so that we have the next point for the geofence. So in that regard, the human error of data collection is relatively low due to that tool. And when it comes to data upload and errors around some of the data that was collected previously, of course, that's where we have to find a way to deal with that as a team with your internal team and our experts. I hope this answers the question, but maybe you can work with Sharif now on if you have additional questions.
Okay. Maybe
If I may, sorry, Kajiro, if I may just add one more thing to that, because part of what we do, like thankfully we've had the opportunity to work in so many, in many different countries on large scales. So what's happened is we've gained a lot of experience on the different types of errors that can come up, right? So like Andreas mentioned, one big thing is this offline mode, being able to work in offline mode because the data is coming in, coming out, or the connection, I mean. Another example is, sometimes when you go out to collect the data, the farmer knows the boundaries of their farm, but they're not familiar with what it looks like on a satellite, right? So that way we built another tool as well where the data collector can walk around the farm with the farmer and collect the exact points. So I say that to say a big part of what we do, it's not just the tools, but it's the methodology around training, what Anmeyer called the digital champions, training and rolling out the initiative with you. So it's not just a matter of, oh, here's the tools, it's great, we hope you figure it out. We work with you from start to finish to make sure that each region, each district, each cooperative, and each one of your internal employees are both proficient, know how to solve common issues, uncommon issues, but then can also transfer that knowledge to the next person as well. So a big part of it is methodology, and we work very closely with you and your team on that to make sure it's successful, because there is no one size fits all.
Okay, maybe the last question is to ask: is it possible to customize your system to our requirement?
The answer to that is the answer to that is yes. It depends on the requirements. I think the first requirement that needs to be met in each region is to follow your flow of coffee and information, right? Where your flow is different than Kenya or Indonesia, obviously. That's where we already work with customization. And then you tell us what other requirements you might have in customization. What are you thinking of?
I'm asking that question because here in Tanzania, we are also collecting information more than the requirement of the UDR. That's why I'm asking, maybe is it possible maybe to add some few questions when when we go to the farm and they collected information, we collect it just once and for all. We don't come back next year asking farmers maybe a little bit more questions other than asking this time.
Yes, the answer to that is yes. We have a survey builder so that you in the admin panel can create a survey for your farmers that will reach them in the app. Here, Sharif is actually showing it to us. So let's show a survey that is relevant, or just as a test survey is fine as well. We didn't prepare for that, so let's just Sharif, walk us through the survey, because this is exactly where we're answering Kajiro's question. So the functionality is already there.
Exactly. So you can create a survey with what type of questions you would like. It's a very flexible survey builder, and you can distribute these surveys to all of the farmers. You can distribute them to specific regions, different surveys for different people. And as soon as you create that survey as an administrator, the farmer or the data collector get access to that survey to answer it for you in a specific time. So say maybe you want them to answer within a week, they get a notification to answer it within a week. I'll actually show you a pretty one quick example of a survey here that I know is actually ready. I just remembered this one. So this is like a soil management survey. Maybe you want to get some environmental data. Maybe you want to get some household information. You can create all of those surveys and distribute them to the different farmers or data collectors. Very flexibly too, so all types of questions, numerical, multiple choice, and so on.
Thank you for that, Sharif.
Well, that's all for me. Thank you very much.